ولقد يسرنا القرآن للذكر فهل من مدكر.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our dear viewers at home, hope you guys are all doing well. Ramadan is almost over. It went by very fast. I hope everyone was able to fast properly and was able to do their ibadat in peace, especially because our workload is a lot less now. Hopefully you are taking advantage of the last 10 nights, especially the odd nights, inshallah ta'ala. And I hope before Ramadan ends, Allah Azza wa Jal forgives all of us. We're all sinners, right? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that whenever the month of Ramadan comes and enters upon someone and they aren't able to get themselves forgiven before Ramadan leaves, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Raghima anfu." And how evil is the situation of that person, that Ramadan, a month like Ramadan came, but he wasn't able to get himself forgiven. So we make dua, Allah Azza wa Jal forgives our sins. Allah Azza wa Jal wipes away any small, major mistakes or minor, major mistakes we have done throughout the year or even in the month of Ramadan. And that's why it's important to give the fitrah before the Salatul Eid. The fitrah is supposed to be for any minor sins that we have committed during the month of Ramadan. So make sure to do that as well, inshallah, for every person of the family. It's according to it's minimum $10. It could be more too, but minimum is $10. Give that on behalf of every single person of the family. Can't hear me? Thank you for your feedback. What should I do with this? How about now? Can you hear me now, brother? Can you hear me now, brother? Can you hear me now? Hopefully it's better. I hope you can hear me now, inshallah. Yes, we were talking about, we all commit sin, especially in the month of Ramadan. We must have done minor mistakes. Innal hasanat yudhibna sayyi'at. You do good, inshallah, it will take away and wipe away any mistakes you have done during the month of Ramadan. Jazakallah, brother Vani Smitty. So before the Salatul Eid, make sure to give the fitrah amount. Inshallah, that will compensate for any minor mistakes that we have done, inshallah. Okay, if you don't have the chance to do it here in America, you can send the money back home to any country where you might have connections to, and they will distribute it for you. And it might even be a better idea to send it there because people are more in need of it over there than here. Alright, inshallah. So with that being said, we'll start our program for today, the journey through the Qur'an. And as you have known, mashallah, we are doing every juz of the Qur'an, trying to go through every juz. And finally we have reached the 28th juz. So today will be my last session. And the 29 and 30 next day and the day after, inshallah, we'll try to finish. So 28th juz starts with Surah Al-Mujadilah. Al-Mujadala. Mujadala yujadilu. It means to argue. It means to argue. So there was a woman at the time of the Prophet ﷺ who, you can say, according to the word of the Qur'an, argued with the Prophet ﷺ. But it wasn't, a too heavy of an argument. It was just. So let's look at the story as how this argument took place. Okay. This is a Madani surah. Most of it was revealed as Medina, or all of it was revealed in Medina, and it was revealed regarding Khawlah bint Tha'labah radiyallahu ta'ala anha. She was the wife of Aus ibn as-Samit. And she was, according to the tafsir, she was Hasanatul Jism. She was a good-figured woman, and she was a pretty woman, you can say a beautiful woman. And so Aus ibn Samit, he's obviously husband, but he had some sickness, some problem, and he wanted to, have physical relationship with her, and she rejected for maybe personal reason, whatever the problem was. So now, Aus ibn Samit, he said, "Anti alayya ka dhahri ummi." The words he says were, "You are like the back of my mother." This is called Zihar in Arabic. Well, in Arabic, and before Islam came, this practice was known, which is called Zihar, where the husband doesn't say that I divorce you, anything like that. He just says, "You are like the back of my mother." Yani, you are haram on me from today. I see you just like I see my mother. You are haram on me, and this is over. So, and then obviously he regretted and he was sorry because of what he said. ثم ندم على ما قال. And then she went to the Prophet ﷺ and said, "Ya Rasulullah, my husband has said zihar to me and he's regretting now." And you know, this happens even nowadays, subhanAllah. Couples, especially young, right? And the husband will get mad and say it. Just a couple of weeks ago, they called me, they're messaging me that my husband said this and he's sorry and he regrets it now. They're anyway out and they're going to scholars all over the country, all over America, and even back home and just to trying to find a loophole. There is no loophole. These words, you're supposed to be very, very careful about these words. They're not jokes. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Jidduhunna jidduhunna wa hazluhunna jidduhunna." If you're serious about it, it's serious. If you're joking about it, it's still serious. Like, you're not supposed to even say those words. So you got to be very careful about those words. So he was sorry about it, and she said, "Ya Rasulullah, this is the problem." And the funny thing is, usually it's the lady who is coming and making the excuse for the husband, because the husband is so sorry he doesn't even want to say it. So same case here, he doesn't want to say it. He sends the wife, go to the Prophet ﷺ and find a solution. So she came to the Prophet ﷺ, okay, and Aisha radiallahu anha was washing his head. تغسل شق رأسي. So she came and she said, "Ya Rasulullah, inna zawji Aws ibn Samit tuzawwajini wa ana shabba ghaniya dhata malin wa ahli." That Aws ibn Samit, he married me when I was young. I was beautiful. I had money. And he benefited from my money, from my beauty and everything. حتى إذا أكل مالي, he ate my wealth. وأفنى شبابي, and he wasted my youth. وتفرق أهلي, and he separated me from my family. وكبر سني, and I am old now. ظهر مني, now he's done zihar with me, and now he says he's done with me. But وقد ندم, he's sad now, right? He's sad. So is there any way we can fix this? Is there any way we can get this sorted out? Obviously, he's regretting now. So the Prophet ﷺ, according to the custom and according to the norm, he said, "Harumti alayhi, you're haram upon him. It's done. It's over. Finish." But as of now, there wasn't any specific rulings or verses revealed about this scenario of zihar, right? So the Prophet ﷺ said what he knew. He said, "You are haram. It's done." And she said, "No, can you please reconsider and see maybe there's something else?" So this is where the mujadala is taking place. This is where the surah takes its name from. Mujadala, yani a little argument. She's like, "Please, can you see what's going on?" He said, "No, you're done. It's over." So then she said, "Ashku ila Allahi faqati wa wahdati." That I complain to Allah Azza wa Jal, my faqa, my loss and my destitution and my loneliness and my isolation. And I complain to Allah Azza wa Jal. And then she said, "Can you please see again what can be done?" So then she kept on saying that, "Can you please see a solution? Can you please see a solution?" And Aisha radiallahu anha was by her side. She was there. And she said, "Hold on, stop. Can't you see what the Prophet ﷺ was going through?" Whenever wahi used to be revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, he used to start sweating profusely a lot. He used to start shaking and shivering. So she said, "Relax, don't you see that wahi is being revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?" So then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Udu'i zawjuk, or zawjaki, call your spouse, your husband." And then she went and called, and then fatala alayhi Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited upon them, "قَدْ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَ الَّتِي تُجَادِلُكَ فِي زَوْجِهَا وَتَشْتَكِي إِلَى اللَّهِ." These first verses of the surah, that Allah has heard the statement of the one who comes and argues with you regarding her wife, regarding her husband, And then Aisha radiallahu anha said, تَبَارَكَ الَّذِي وَسِعَ سَمْعُهُ الْأَصْوَاتَ كُلَّهَا. How great is my Lord, how blessed is my Lord, who hears the sound of everything in every single person. And she even heard your calling, your dua that you made right now. Allah heard that, and Allah responded to that. So now what is the solution, right? The whole point was to get a solution out of this. So Allah says the solution is, الذين يظاهرون منكم من نسائهم ما هن أمهاتهم. That those men who do zihar with you and they say that their wives are like their mothers, ما هن أمهاتهم. They're not like their mothers. Just because you say someone is your mother doesn't make them their mother. إن أمهاتهم إلا اللائي ولدنهم. Their mothers are only those who gave them birth. No one else's mother to them. So saying that this is a custom and practice of Jahiliyyah, of the days before Islam. So that's null. It doesn't count. That doesn't mean anything just because you said he's your wife. So she's still gonna be your wife, but there's a penalty. We'll talk about the penalty. But before that, there's a similar situation that took place with the Prophet ﷺ and his adopted, quote unquote, adopted son Zayd ibn Harith radiallahu anhu. So he was adopted, and people started calling him Zayd ibn Muhammad, the son of Muhammad ﷺ, but he wasn't. And we know there's no adoption in Islam. There's no adoption in Islam, because, like, let's say you adopt a child, like, as long as they're non-baligh and not mature yet, it's okay. They can be in the family, right? But once they become baligh, then they're non-mahram. They can't, see the sisters of the family and the mothers of the family, just like a regular sibling would. So that's the reason why adoption is not allowed in Islam. But if you do want to adopt someone, there's a little secret or loophole, you can say. You can bring the child and you can have the child breastfed by the mother. You can have the child breastfed by the mother, and that way the child will become a foster child and will become part of the mother, and he will be just like a regular brother or sister in the family. So that's one way to do it. But anyhow, they started calling Zayd the son of Muhammad. So Allah Azza wa Jalla said that just like مَا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِرَجُلٍ مِّن قَلْبَيْنِ فِي جَوْفِهِ. Allah did not place two hearts in a person's body. There's only one heart. You can't have two hearts in a person's body. Is there any person in the world that has two hearts? Right? I don't think that ever took place in the history of earth. But so just like a man can't have two hearts, a child cannot have two fathers, a biological father and a father by adoption. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen. So similarly here, you can't have two mothers. Your mother is your mother, the one who gave birth to you. You can't make your wife into your mother. But since you said something so abhorrent, so disgusting, so inappropriate, there's a penalty for that. والذين يظاهرون من نسائهم ثم يعودون لما قالوا فتحرير رقبة من قبل أن يتماسا. Those men who do zihar with their women and they say that their woman is like their mother, ثم يعودون لما قالوا, and then they take back what they said, and you're supposed to do that. There's a penalty. فتحرير رقبة. You have to free a slave. And at that time you were able to free a slave. Now you can't free a slave. You see, the reason why there's a penalty for that is because you're playing with the emotion of the woman. Right? Women are very emotional. They'll get, most of the time, I guess, nowadays, you can say it might be a different scenario. But most of the time, those words, women get very emotional. Even though they'll show that they're not emotional, but they're very affected by those things. Don't play with the emotions of your wives. So because, you played with her, you got to give a penalty for that. You gotta free a slave. So back in the days there were slaves. Nowadays we don't have. There's other options though, which is in the next verses. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ. Whoever doesn't find a slave, فَصِيَامُ شَهْرَيْنِ مُتَتَابِعَيْنِ. You gotta fast for 2 consecutive months. Wow, look at that. 2 consecutive months. How seriously our Islam takes these words and these things and these scenarios. Right? مِنْ قَبْلِ أَن يَتَمَاسَ. Before you touch her, you gotta fast for 2 months. And if you can't do that, let's say 2 months is too hard for you, فَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَيُطْعَمُ 60 مِسْكِينًا. If you cannot do that, then you have to feed 60 miskin. 60 miskin, you gotta feed them food. Regular 1 meal, you have to give them. And that probably you can, if you don't want to do it here, if you can't find it here, then you can send it again to, any other country that you have connection with, you can send it there. Okay? So that is the end of this episode here, right? Why this surah is called Mujadala, and who is the person that's arguing, and why it took place. And then we're gonna skip through some of the verses and go into the next verse that's kind of relatable. So again, we try to do the verses that we can find relatable and apply to our lives. So here what happened is the Prophet ﷺ, right, whenever he used to have a majlis, whenever he used to have a gathering, we have gatherings all the time in the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ, he used to prefer, and he would like the people of Badr, mashallah, the people of Badr, right? It makes your hair stand up in your body. The Prophet ﷺ said, the people of Badr, they're Jannati. No matter what they do, what they have done before, what they do after. Man shahida Badran falahul Jannah. Whoever witnessed Badr, he is from the people of Jannah. So he respected the people of Badr so much. He had so much love and honor for them. So whenever there was a majlis with the Prophet ﷺ, he used to say that the people of Badr, let them come and let them sit in the front. They have the honor. They are the people that supported the Prophet ﷺ in the beginning when there was no one there. Then even for the battle of Badr, there were some people that say, Ya Rasulullah, our ride is not ready, our animal is not ready, we can't go, and we live in the outskirts of the city, it's going to take time, it's lazy, whatever it is. So whoever said, Ya Rasulullah, it doesn't matter, we're going, we're ready, we'll go. Right? It doesn't matter if my camel is ready or not. But there was a scarcity of rides. There's 3 people were sharing one ride, 313 about. They went and faced 1,000 people, right? And then one person to take care of 3 people, fight 3 people. They didn't say, oh, we gotta fight 1,000 people, let's get out of here, we're done, right? We're gonna leave. And it's one of the kabair to run away in the day of battle. So they said, no, we're gonna stick with the Prophet, we're gonna fight with him, and we're gonna be by his side. So the Prophet had respect for them. So he said, in the majlis, you come and sit in front, I give respect to you. So one time, what happened is, the Prophet ﷺ sat in a gathering, and there were some people who came before the people of Badr, and they sat in front of the Prophet ﷺ. So when the people of Badr came, the Prophet ﷺ indicated that let them come in front and let them sit. And they always sit in the front. I honor them like that. You should give them the seat. But there was some sort of reluctancy, and so then this verse was revealed. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, إِذَا قِيلَ لَكُمْ تَفَسَّحُوا فِي الْمَجَالِسِ, when it is told to you to give space, make space in majalis, فَافْسَحُوا, make space, يَفْسَحِ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ, Allah will make space for you. وَإِذَا قِيلَ انشُزُوا, and when it's told to you, انشُزُوا, get up, make space, فَانشُزُوا, make space. Make space for the people. So this is in special scenario where the people of Badr, for example, or for example, if you have a gathering going on, then usually the front area is reserved for, let's say if you're in the masjid, it's reserved for the management. They are serving the masjid. They need to talk. They need to come up. So reserve that spot for the management, or for the imam, or for the alim, scholar, mufti, whoever's going to come and sit here, or for the muadhin. We have this usually in Tarawih time, right? Usually the front area, a couple of spots, we save it for the imam sahab, for the muadhin sahab, for the second imam. A couple of spots we kind of keep it free. So it's not bias, or it's not racism or anything like that. It's just they have to be there, right? They got to lead. And if those spots are taken, let's say they come a little bit late, now there's a whole chaos. Somebody has to go back, and then somebody has to go back, and usually it causes a problem. So that's one applicable area. Another thing is, if other than this special scenario, if someone comes and sits in a spot, right, he's sitting there and he just went to grab water or something, or he just went to put his hoodie or his jacket in the hooks, in the hangers, he comes back, he has more right to sit there. The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever sits in a place and he comes back, he has the right to sit back there. So you can't just take somebody's spot. It's wrong to do that. Right? If he comes back, you have to give that spot to him. Okay, so if it is told to you to make space, then make space. And then if it's told to you to stand up and leave to make space, then do that as well. يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات. Allah raises the status of those people who have believed from amongst you, believed from before. والذين أوتوا العلم, and those who are given knowledge, darajat, many levels and ranks. Allah has raises them over others. So the people of knowledge, there's a lot of virtue and reward and benefits and merits and fadl of the people of knowledge. Allah raises them, like He says here, in ranks. And the person who goes out to seek Person who goes out to seek knowledge, he is in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal until he returns. And even the angels, they put down their wings, ridan bima yatlub, out of honor and respect for the people of knowledge. And it's better to be engaged in knowledge than to do extra ibadat and nawafil. To do extra nafil prayer, it's better for you to be engaged in teaching and learning. Not just teaching, but learning as well. Ta'lim wa ta'allum, right? Has big, that we don't sometimes underestimate. So listening to lectures, listening to talks right now as you're sitting here and mashallah listening to the words of Allah Azza wa Jalla, this is better than praying nafil salah and just being engaged in that. We're not saying that's not good. That has its own merit and reward, but ta'lim and ta'allum has a lot more merit and reward, right? So Allah raises them in their honor and rank. Okay. And other verses in the Qur'an, Allah Azza wa Jal emphasizes and reiterates the importance of knowledge. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. The only people that have khashya, true khashya of Allah Azza wa Jal, are the ulama, are the people of knowledge. And it doesn't mean like someone who went to a school, a certain university or a certain course and they become ulama. It's people, it doesn't have to be a certain course. You sit with the ulama, you sit with them, you learn from them. Inshallah, we want to be eventually one day be raised with the ulama and be considered among the ulama or the people of knowledge. Imam al-Shafi'i says, أُحِبُّ الصَّالِحِينَ وَلَسْتُ مِنْهُمْ. I love the salihin, the pious people, but I don't claim to be from them. وَلَسْتُ مِنْهُمْ, I am not from them. But I only be with them لَعَلَّ اللَّهَ يَرْزُقُنِي صَلَاحًا. The only reason why is because I hope that one day Allah can give me the status of being from them, just because I try to be with them. Just because I try to be with them. Okay, so we'll finish Surah Al-Mujadala here. Surah Al-Mujadala, and then we go into Surah Al-Hashr. Surah Al-Hashr, there's one verse that I wanted to highlight and emphasize, which is the 9th verse of Surah Al-Hashr, where Allah Azza wa Jal talks about the Ansar and their selflessness, how selfless they were. So when the Muhajirun came, the Ansar, they said with an open heart, this is something we lack, wallahi, we lack this in our time and age. Everybody's just about nafsi, nafsi, myself, me. Let's say you are doing well in your career, in your field, and you found yourself a niche, whether it's whatever you do, a part-time job you do, whether it's a business, buying and selling cars, or whether it's the stock market, whatever it is, and someone new tries to get into that field. People say all the time, like, it's so difficult, people don't want to help you, and people, they'll act like they're helping you, but they're really not helping you. They just act like, have you seen that picture where someone is in a ditch, in a hole, and he needs help, and the person who's above the ditch, the hole, the ground, he's stretching his hand out like that, but he can't reach that person, but behind him there's a ladder. He can easily give that ladder to that person who's stuck there, but he's just acting like he's helping him by stretching his hand out while he has the ladder. And so we end up doing certain things like that, where like we can help people, but we just don't want to help them because they'll come into the market and they'll mess up the market, or they'll take my job away and they'll do this. You see that all the time. That's not the quality or the character of a believer. Believer should never do that. You should لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you will believe completely until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. Until you love for yourself, you love for your brother. You give him what you want for yourself, right? So the Ansar, there were people like that who, what did they do? يُحِبُّونَ مَنْ هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِمْ. They loved those that they migrated to them. The Muhajirun, they came to them, they loved them, they preferred for them what they preferred for themselves. They even said, you can come and stay with us in our house, you can eat from our food. They even said that I have several wives, and if my wife is happy and she's okay with it, we can separate and you can marry my wife, now who will be your wife. And so, and they were open-heartedly, they said, anything I have is yours, right? That's how much supportive they were in the beginning. So if people migrate from a new country and you know they need help, try to be there for them. You don't have to give them money or an apartment, but maybe just to get around, apply for their green card, for their medical health insurance, try to take them to the hospital in the beginning, try to get those things done and try to get people on their feet. Inshallah, you'll be rewarded for that a lot. Right? وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ. They prefer other people over themselves. They prefer other people over themselves. Now, you see this sometimes in Saudi, mashallah. You see this a lot. Sometimes when there's taxis going around, and you see like ladies, women hailing for the taxi, and there's, let's say, men or young people in the taxi, and we saw this a lot of times. They'll tell the taxi guy, like, we'll stop here, take the money, and just give it to the sisters that are waiting. Look at the respect and honor they have. And people say all the time, oh, people don't respect women in Saudi, and women don't get their right. And so they just say that based on what they see on the media, it's a very bad misrepresentation of what's going on in Saudi. You see, when Obama, what is this guy, Trump, when he visited Saudi, the media went there and they were saying, look, in McDonald's they have a separate line for men and separate line for women, segregation, and this is discrimination, and different entrance for men and women. What is this? This is, what century do we live in? Do you even know why they're doing it? They're only doing it out of respect for their women. Like, we want to give you your privacy. We don't want you start pushing around and being pushed around by men. And sometimes there's a lot of people there in line. So it's not because we see you as subhuman or something. It's because we want to respect you, give you your privacy. That's why we put you there. So in Saudi we see this now a lot of times. Women who are waiting for taxi, men will say, I'll give you the fare, we'll get off here, you take the women, mashallah, the sisters, and we don't want them waiting here. It doesn't look good, right? That's how much respect women are given in Saudi, mashallah. They can walk at 2 a.m. in the morning, they walk around with jewelry and everything. No one will do anything to them. You leave your car open, no one will come and do anything. And they take that stuff seriously. The whole Arab, even in Dubai, all of these tourists from Europe and America and the West, they go to Saudi, Dubai and all these places. One of the biggest reasons is because of security. Right? No one can do anything to you. Right? It's very secure. They respect women, just like in Saudi and other places. So we're talking about preferring other people over yourselves. وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Even if they themselves were in need of that thing. Even if they themselves were in need of that money or that taxi or whatever it is. وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Whoever is saved, whoever is protected from the stinginess of his soul, he is from the successful ones. And stinginess, that's something miserly and being stingy, and has a lot of bad effect, being stingy and cheap. If Allah has given you wealth, then give it in the path of Allah, and not just in the path of Allah, but also for your family. You don't want to give free money to anybody, like your kids, your children, because then they will lose the value of money. They say that a young man, he was polishing his shoes. The shoe cost maybe $100, and the cloth he was using to polish the shoe was like $500. So someone was passing by and said, how come you're polishing a shoe that costs $100 with a cloth that costs $500? He said, I bought the shoe myself, and the cloth, my father bought it for me. My father bought the cloth for me. That if people don't work for something, they don't have value for it. But at the same time, we don't want to be too stingy, and we don't want to make our kids, go to other places to make money, and let them be in the hand of strangers who can easily take advantage of them. Right? Sometimes, once in a while, if kids ask for stuff, you don't just give it right away. That might be impulse. They just want to buy stuff. Let them wait. If they keep asking for it, tell them, okay, this is what you have to do. Do the chores of the house, or memorize one surah, memorize juz amma, or memorize one juz, memorize a couple of surahs, and then you'll earn it, right? Keep a balance for it. Let them earn it. At the same time, don't be stingy. If they want to buy a PlayStation, for example, say, okay, memorize juz amma and we'll give it to you. Memorize Surah Yasin, we'll give it to you. Memorize Surah Kaf, and we'll give it to you. You want to use it for your leverage, right? Because Kids, they have things that they want to grow up with and experiences. And they'll see their friends have the same thing, and maybe they'll want it. If you don't give it to them, they'll go and find something else, find another way to do it, And secretly they will do things they will never tell you, Maybe, there's so many things that we hear about and things they do, so you don't want to let that happen. You want to have complete, as much authority and supervision as you can over your children. So whoever is protected from the stinginess of his soul, he is from the successful ones. And in the month of Ramadan, mashallah, we can give in the path of Allah. Our donations will be multiplied exponentially in these times. So we should do that as well. Okay, we'll finish with Surah Al-Hashr and then we'll go to As-Saf, Al-Jum'ah, Munafiqun. Munafiqun, there's a whole story in Munafiqun where the Prophet ﷺ was going into an expedition with Bani al-Mustaliq, his father-in-law actually, and there was a little quarrel and argument that took place. It's going to get lengthy, we'll skip that, and we'll just do one verse from Surah Al-Tahrim and we'll stop there inshallah. Surah Al-Tahrim, we have the sixth verse of Surah Al-Tahrim. Allah says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. O you who believe, save yourself. قوا أنفسكم, protect yourself. وأهليكم, and your family. From where? From naran, from that fire. So first protect yourself and then protect your family, and then you can go and preach and protect other people. Right? What kind of a fire? وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةِ. The fuel of that fire is not gasoline, is not Con Edison, is not National Grid, is not gasoline, or is not charcoal. You know the fuel of that fire is? النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةِ. People, human beings and rocks. Human beings and rocks. Human beings will be used to fire up that fire, ignite that fire. Allah Azza wa Jalla will say to the fire, Halim tala'ti, are you full? Are you done? The fire will say, Hal min mazid, is there more? I have enough space. So protect yourself and your family from that fire whose fuel will be human beings and fire. On top of that, عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله. The guard of that fire of Jahannam, the guardians, the keepers, will be malaika, such angels. غلاظ, they're very stern, they have no heart, very strict, they have no emotions. شداد, severe, they won't listen to you. You come and plead and beg to them, they'll say, go back. قال اخسأوا فيها ولا تكلمون. Don't talk, go back there. لا يعصون الله, they don't disobey Allah. Allah says to stay by the gates, guard the gate, that's what they will do. ويفعلون ما يؤمرون, and they will do what they are commanded to do. So protect yourself and your family from that fire. So hopefully inshallah we asked Allah Azza wa Jal enough and begged Allah Azza wa Jal enough during the month of Ramadan, and hopefully every night Allah Azza wa Jal saves a group of people from the fire of Jahannam. Hopefully Allah Azza wa Jal made us amongst those people who He protected from the fire of Jahannam. May Allah Azza wa Jal forgive all of us. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us the tawfiq to carry on the spirit of Ramadan after Ramadan. May Allah Azza wa Jal remove this bala, this musibah from us, of this pandemic. And may Allah Azza wa Jal give us the tawfiq to reach next Ramadan with afiyah, with iman and faith, inshallah. I'll see you guys next time, whenever that is, inshallah. Perhaps in a couple of weeks, or next Ramadan with the journey of the Qur'an. Until then, you guys stay safe. I hope you guys have a good, fun, joyful Eid with your family and all your loved ones. Until then, take care, inshallah. Keep me in dua. Fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.